Hello. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Alex Newborn, and I'm a huge fan of the movie Ghostbusters. Now, in October of 2011, while putting together a Ghostbusters costume for Halloween, I was going through all sorts of boxes, anything Ghostbusters related that I could find in my own home, in my parents' attic, just various places. And along the way, I came across a bunch of old VHS tapes. Now, this was my old collection of real Ghostbusters cartoon episodes, and a few other things. Interesting to think that nowadays, all of this can now be contained right here in one small box full of DVDs. Now, you know what? I know what you're saying. Alex, if you'd clean out all those VHSs, you'd have a lot more space in your house. But there's a couple of pretty good reasons in there for not getting rid of all those old VHSs. How about sentimental reasons? I mean, this is the very first thing I ever taped on a VCR, and that is the movie Ghostbusters. So, or there's other good reasons to hang on to some of these VHS tapes. Look what I just found. Now, this is a tape. It was filed with the Real Ghostbusters tapes because I had written Real Ghostbusters on it at some point. It says, Ghostbusters Too Damn Hyped. Let's check this out. What's in here? It just says Muley right there on that. I don't know what that's in reference to. There's a piece of paper tucked in here. Let's see what's on this. Appears to be some sort of a shot sheet or a log that I kept. Oh, this would be a cassette taped at 4-hour speed, full of nothing but interviews from the summer that Ghostbusters 2 came out. Alright, here's what I did. I sat there with a tape in the VCR. If anything even remotely Ghostbusters 2 came on television, I hit record. So this is a chronological representation of everything that aired on every channel that I had. Now, obviously, things are going to be incomplete at the beginning because I didn't know what was about to happen. And occasionally you get some redundancy in there. But still, we're looking at hours worth of interviews. I'm going to read you the list and get you some of the highlights here. Aykroyd on Good Morning America, interviewed by Chantal. Jimmy Carter on Crook and Chase, interviews Aykroyd, Murray, Reitman. Sigourney Weaver interview on USA Hollywood Insider. Weaver/Hall. Gee, I wonder where I got that title from. Sigourney Weaver on the Arsenio Hall show. Dana Barrett being interviewed by the cartoon's Winston. I mean, how can you not love that clip? MTV The Big Picture with a great Who is Ernie Hudson montage. And the list just goes on. Harold Ramis interviewed by Bob Costas. Arsenio Hall interviews Harold Ramis, admits, I was the black guy on Real Ghostbusters. Ernie Hudson being interviewed by Jay Leno. John Candy on Later with Bob Costas on having declined the role of Louis Tully. Dave Coulier on Full House doing an impression of Bill Murray meeting Bullwinkle. Now apparently over and over they used the Mood Slime clip in all these interview shows, and I don't know how YouTube might flag that. I might have to trim it out, but it's in there repeatedly. And you know, I start getting a little bit, this contains the overworked Mood Slime clip, you know. As if I even have to write it down, Mood Slime clip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start converting all of these clips on this VHS tape into a format that I can upload onto the internet. Now I'm sure there's many ways of doing that, but for me, the system I'm going to use is Halloween. While I was looking for Halloween decorations, I found a VCR DVD player combo. I got this down out of a closet, and it is plugged into, via these red, yellow, and white RCA cables, a digital camcorder, not the one that I'm filming with right now. This is my older model. Bought this from Pete. Hi, Pete. Now my goal is to digitize all of these and upload them to YouTube and put them in a playlist so you can enjoy them in the same order in which I tape them onto the one tape. Once I cut down some of the redundancies and some of the things that really aren't even worth looking at, I don't know what the running time is going to be. But here, as a little teaser of things to come, is the very first thing that's on the tape. This is the tail end, unfortunately it's not complete, of a commercial for Ghostbusters 2 back when it still said this film is not yet rated.
For the nastiness of its inhabitants. When that day comes,
that's my baby!
When the slime starts to rise,
the Titanic just arrived.
When ghosts start arriving by the boatload,
we gotta find the guys.
There's only one thing to do.
Look out! Look out! Sometimes weird things happen. Someone has to deal with it. And who are you gonna call? Suck in the guts, guys, with the Ghostbusters.
Who you gonna call?
Ghostbusters 2.
You're short, your belly button sticks out too far, and you're a terrible burden on your poor mother.
Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Sigourney Weaver, Harold Ramis, Rick Moranis, and Ernie Hudson in an Ivan Reitman film. Ghostbusters 2. 16th at theaters everywhere.
And I'm going to follow that up with Ernie Hudson being interviewed on Entertainment Tonight. Enjoy.
Looks like a giant Jell-O mold. I hate Jell-O. Oh, come on. There's always room for Jell-O. Happy New Year. Hose 'em.
For the most part, this will not be remembered as Hollywood's golden summer of comedy.
Two in the box.
The film brings back the entire original cast, including Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Sigourney Weaver, Harold Ramis, Rick Moranis, and Ernie Hudson, and director Ivan Reitman, in the sequel to the highest-grossing comedy of all times.
Ghostbusters 2.
It's just like in real life. It's been 5 years. We're 5 years older. And so we've been kind of put on hold ghostbusting. And in the meantime, New York has become this this place where a lot of bad vibrations for a lot of years have been building up, and there's this sludge under the city that's threatening the universe. And who are you going to call?
We're the best. We're the beautiful. We're the only Ghostbusters. We're back.
It's all very scripted. I mean, it's all very set. So we go into expecting to shoot those pages. However, when you work with somebody like Bill Murray, you realize that things have a tendency to change.
Don't put any of those old cheap moves on me.
No.
It's different.
I have all new cheap moves.
All of this wow. That's the remote hitting the floor. So, you know, they're up. What was that noise? That's a duck, man. That's a duck. Means the pizza's ready. Dave Coulier doing Bill Murray meeting Bullwinkle. Dave Coolio. Dave Coolio. Yeah, man, I don't think that's funny the way you do that Bill Murray voice. Dave. Sorry, keep going. And next up in this retrospective to the summer of 1989, here's Harold Ramis being interviewed by John Tesh on Entertainment Tonight.
Most writers who come up with slimy stories for the movies walk around with their tails between their legs and try not to be recognized. Harold Ramis is proud of the slime he created. Who wouldn't be? John Tesh reports.
Like sucking the guts, guys. We're the Ghostbusters.
As co-writer with Dan Aykroyd of Ghostbusters 2, Harold Ramis was faced with an enormous challenge: how to top the first film, the highest-grossing comedy ever. For Ramis, a strong plot seemed the logical place for him to start.
The trailer opens, the narrator saying,
At the stroke of midnight, on New Year's Eve of the last decade of the 20th century,
America's largest city is finally going to pay for the nastiness of its inhabitants.
So, with New York about to get slimed, the Ghostbusters are pressed back into service. Sounds simple enough, but Ramis also felt the boys should have their share of misfortune. So,
Unexpectedly, at the end of the first movie, instead of being heroes, it turns out that having destroyed a large apartment building in New York and almost destroyed the city, we got blamed for it.
although Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray are undoubtedly more high-profile, Ghostbuster Ramis boasts a comedic resume nearly unmatched in Hollywood. As either writer or director, Ramis has worked on Animal House, Stripes, Meatballs, Caddyshack, National Lampoon's Vacation, and the 2 Ghostbusters films. Ramis credits part of his success with the work at Chicago's famed Second City.
We learned a great process at Second City, which was never to say no. If someone has an idea, you force yourself to say yes and then add something or put a spin on their idea that makes it better.
2 in the box. Ready to go. We be fast and they be slow.
Much of Ramis's Second City work was with his Ghostbusters collaborators, Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray. And perhaps this family feeling is also part of their secret for success. Or then again, maybe not.
What do you guys talk about? Bill talks sports a lot. Dan talks vehicles and weapons. I talk psychology today. Of course. And Ivan talks about picture grosses and marketing.
Ghostbusters 2 will be in theaters from coast to coast in 2 weeks.